So the first thing we do when factoring by grouping is group the first two and group the last two. It's just a method for factoring. Save your questions for the end. I know it seems weird to group, but just hold on. After you split it into two groups, you then pull a GCF out of both. So what is a GCF I can pull out of the first two terms? X cubed. I can pull an x cubed out of both. So what is x to the fourth power divided by x cubed? X. Sorry. What is 5x cubed divided by x cubed? Then I pull a GCF out of the second two. What GCF goes into both x and 5? Nothing. Even though it seems like there's nothing, you actually always have a GCF of what? 1. So here you would pull a 1 out. Now anytime you're dividing by 1, what happens? They stay the same. So here this is going to remain x plus 5. What do you notice here? Oh, stop doing that. What do you notice? The inside of the parentheses is the same. This is how you know you're doing this correctly. If your insides of your parentheses are the exact same, you're doing this right. If they're not, you need to stop and back up. So here, x plus 5 is the same in both. I know I'm doing this correctly. Now, I can rewrite this by taking out another GCF from these two terms we have. What GCF goes into the first term and the second term?
1. You can take x plus 5 out.
You can take x plus 5 out of both. So look, what is x plus 5? It starts with an F. It's our first factor. Yes, Kayla?
Where'd you get the plus 1?
You can always pull out a GCF of 1. When it doesn't seem like there's any GCF, you can always pull out 1. So here, when I ask, what is the GCF between x and 5? It doesn't seem like there is one, right? But you can always pull out 1.
Yeah, but why'd you put it like plus 1 after the x plus 5?
Because I pulled it out. I pulled out a 1 from here.
Oh, because it just had like a plus in there?
Yes.
So you just put it out of the parentheses.
Mm-hmm.
Put plus 1. Okay.
So then my second factor is the leftover GCFs that I pulled out, right? X cubed plus 1. So anytime you're factoring by grouping, one of your factors is the repeating insides. The other factors are the GCFs you pulled out. So I'm done factoring by grouping. I have successfully found one of my factors, x plus 5. Which one of these could maybe be factored more?
1. Right one.
Why can the right one maybe be factored more?
It's cubed.
Is x cubed a perfect cube?
Yes.
Is 1 a perfect cube?
Yes.
What can we use on this to factor it?
Cube.
Sum of cubes. We can use sum of cubes on x cubed plus 1. What is my a value? What is the cube root of x cubed? What is my b value? 1. So I'm going to bring down my first factor that doesn't go away. Then my formula tells me that the sum of cubes, what comes first? A plus b. So my a was x and my b was 1. Then what comes next? in my formula that we just
A
did.
squared
What? So we have x squared, then what comes next?
minus 1x
Minus 1 times x. Good. A times b. Then
b squared
plus b squared, which is
1 squared
1 squared, which is just
1.
1. Does anything multiply to be 1 but add to be negative 1? Multiply to be 1 but add to be negative 1? No. So boom, I'm done factoring.
Jeez.
I know. It's a lot to remember.
You have to remember the formulas.
I don't know if we're making on level memorize those or not yet.
I think you should give them to us.
Any questions?
Like a formula sheet, I'm just saying.
Any questions on this problem? All right. Raise your hand if you want me to do another example. Raise your hand if you don't want me to do another example. In other words, you want to do a problem right now.
I think I got it.
Do it, Max.
Maybe. Max, do it for us.
I'm just going to do another example.
Can I do it?
On the screen.
You want to do this problem.
On the screen. Max needs to do it.
Max, what's the first step
You put the split them in half.
before that?
Yeah.
All right. Because we only have 10 minutes left, I'm just going to go ahead and by myself do another example. Even though no one raised their hands either time, barely. Yeah, I saw Julia raise her hand. What should we always look for first? Is there a GCF on this problem? Yes. This time there is. What GCF can we pull out? X cubed goes into everything. So if I'm dividing out x cubed, what is x to the 6th power divided by x cubed? X cubed, yes. What is x to the 5th power divided by x cubed? X squared. Remember, you're subtracting the exponents. What is x to the 4th power divided by x cubed? Just plain x. And then what is x cubed divided by x cubed? 1. Now that I've pulled out my GCF, how many terms do I have? 4 terms. So that means I'm doing what type of factoring? Factor by grouping. So now I split it into 2 groups, ignoring the GCF I just pulled out. That is just going to remain in the front till the very end. I'm just working with the inside 4 now. So I'm going to split the inside 4 into 2 separate groups. Then what do I do? The GCF from both. So what GCF goes into x cubed and x squared? I can pull an x squared out. So I have x squared. What is x cubed divided by x squared? And what is x squared divided by x squared? Beautiful. So all I did here was pulled an x squared out of both x cubed and x squared, and I'm left with x plus 1 on the inside.
Yeah.
Then what GCF can I pull out of negative x and negative 1? Negative 1. What is negative x divided by negative 1? Positive x. And what is negative 1 divided by negative 1? Now, this is my checking point, my stopping point. Are my insides the same?
Yeah.
Yes. X plus 1, they're the same. I'm doing this right. This can be factored by factoring by grouping. How do I rewrite this so that I have one of my factors?
x3 and then parentheses x plus 1.
Yes, you pull the x plus 1 out. And then what is my other 2 terms here?
Equation thing? Oh, wait, yeah, no.
X squared minus 1.
That's it.
That's factoring by grouping. I'm done factoring by grouping. However, can any of these be factored further?
No.
Oh, x squared minus 1 is technically what?
X.
Difference of squares. What we reviewed on the back, remember? Difference of squares. So what is the square root of x squared? X. And what's the square root of 1? So I can split x squared minus 1 into x plus 1, x minus 1. Bringing down my x plus 1 and my x cubed. Whew.
What if you just left it as x squared minus 1? Would that be wrong?
You'd get partial credit. You wouldn't get full credit.
So then that's it. That's interesting.
We're not technically done.
Oh, that's cool.
Does anyone know why we're not technically done?
Maybe the equation.
What do you know? No, we don't have to do it this because we don't have perfect cubes.
We have like
We have 2 of the same factor. What do we have that are like here? X plus 1. How can you rewrite something that's repeating itself multiplied together? I heard it. Say I had x times x. How can I rewrite that? X squared. How can I rewrite x plus 1 times x plus 1?
X squared minus plus 2.
X plus 1 squared. And I'm done. Then I'm done.
Are we done for today?
That is all the notes I have for you, yes. Now, we only have, 4 minutes remaining? You can get started if you want, but your only practice for tonight, and I knew that we wouldn't have much time, your 6-2 practice is doing 3, 4, and 5, and that's it. 3, 4, and 5 on the bottom. That's your only practice.
Of the mixed problem?
No, we didn't end up getting to it.
Wait, what's
Of the mixed problems. Of the mixed problems, 3, 4, and 5 are your homework.
okay?